Hey guys, so at this point I am now S rank on all of the roles, damage, tank, and technical. This video is going to essentially be a super cut of some of the highlights of my damage grind to S rank. I think I started recording around B4 or B3 or B2, somewhere in like from B4 to B2 I started recording, and these are highlights from games all the way through A to S rank. The character that I played almost exclusively to S rank is Trunks. The only time I did not pick Trunks is if I had the Super Start Divine Draw and the other damage player did not pick Super Saiyan 3 Goku. If you get Super Start and you do not pick Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you are trolling, is essentially how I would describe it. So if my other damage person, for example, picked Super Saiyan Goku and we have Super Start, you have to go with Super Saiyan. You can't not pick him. But other than those instances, I basically only used Trunks. Trunks, I would say, is the character that has my personal favorite playstyle in the game. I just don't think Trunks is particularly good. You will see a lot of really good instances in this video of Trunks looking like he's a very good character, a very strong character, and there are definitely times where Trunks can look very, very good. The way I would describe this character is Trunks is basically what I would say is a win more character. Trunks is at his best when you are already winning the game. In a game like this, I really don't think that's the best way to design characters. Trunks has very strong, like essentially assassination potential. What I mean by that is if an enemy character is already very low on HP, Trunks has that second skill, which is basically an instant teleport plus AoE, which you can use to very quickly finish characters off. And then you can quickly spiral into killing multiple characters because he has resets on his other abilities. So Trunks is very, very good at like securing and following up on kills. That's a very, very powerful ability that Trunks has. My problem with Trunks, I guess I'll just list out a few of the issues that I have with the character. Number one, kill animations synergize terribly with Trunks. Terribly with Trunks. So for what I mean by kill animations is whenever you kill somebody with a rush attack, which is basically like an auto attack, it will play like the little animation of you killing somebody. The reason why that's really, really bad with this character is because when you kill an opponent, it resets the cooldowns of your abilities. And if you're stuck in the kill animation, you can't immediately follow up and go for more kills with your reset cooldowns because you're stuck in the animation. So that I think is a really, really bad, it just has bad synergy with what Trunks wants to do as an assassination style character. And then the other thing about that as well, which is similar, is because Trunks gets these resets on his abilities, you'll actually notice throughout this video that when we are under the tower, you can't use the reset to go for Gekishin bursts. You could definitely argue that would be a little bit overpowered if you could do that, but it actually hurts Trunks because the reset cooldown on his ability sometimes will overwrite the normal cooldown. So in some instances where you'd normally be able to use Gekishin burst on the tower, you just can't because the overridden normal ability activation is being used up by the reset ability activation. So sometimes it can interfere with the ability to Gekishin burst towers, which is kind of an issue. It's not as bad as you would think though, because typically with Trunks, you really don't even want to be Gekishin bursting towers regardless, because if you go anywhere close to the opponent, this kind of feeds into my next point, is Trunks gets obliterated. He has really, really fragile defenses. So it's just, with Trunks, you really got to know exactly when to go in, when to go out. I basically only go in with Trunks in team fights when I know I can kill somebody, because then it'll reset the cooldown on my Vanish and on my second ability, and I can just immediately teleport out of the fight and kind of go back to safety. An issue I have with his first skill, which is let me just go over the details screen here. The Burst Sword this is for all intents and purposes simply a worse Super Saiyan Goku Kamehameha, and the reason why I say that is because there is a short delay until the ability activates. You'll see in the animation like Trunks cocks back his sword before he actually like launches it, as opposed to Goku's Kamehameha, which is instant. He launches the Kamehameha. Basically, there's no wind up time for the Kamehameha. So I'm not a huge fan of this having sort of like a wind-up time to it, because sometimes you can end up missing some shots with it. So when you're using this ability on an opponent that's moving around, you kind of have to anticipate like a millisecond later where they're going to be, and then you want to use this in that direction. And then the other issue I have with this character is for the ultimate, the Shining Slash. the way this works is there is like a little bit of a sword slash animation, and then he shoots out the ki blast afterwards. I think there's way too long of a delay in between the slash and the shooting of the ki blast. That's definitely screwed me up a bunch of times. I mean, this is, I would say, honestly, isn't really a very powerful ultimate, especially when you power it up. When you compare this ultimate to things like the Super Spirit Bomb, Supernova, Big Bang Attack, this is not on the level of those abilities. It is pretty decent early on, though, if you're just trying to secure like a 1v1 kill against somebody in your top lane, for example. That could be decent there, but I don't think this ultimate is as good as it should be, and I think the main reason why is just because there's a huge delay in between the first and second hits in this ultimate. So overall, I really enjoy the playstyle of this character, which is why I wanted to use Trunks for this grind. But if I'm really going to be rating how good I think Trunks is compared to some of the other characters that are similar to Trunks, like I think the biggest comparison we can make, and the most direct comparison we can make, is to Android 18. To me, Android 18 feels like almost an exclusively better version of this character. Trunks can definitely snowball a little harder than 18 just in terms of team fights, because again, if you kill somebody, you get the resets, and you could really just basically wipe the entire enemy team pretty easily. You guys will see this. A lot of these matches that we have end up essentially just ending in team wipes, because Trunks is able to just spam his abilities constantly because you keep getting the cooldowns reset on them. But if I'm comparing this character to 18 directly, I mean, I don't see a real reason to choose Trunks over 18, because 18 has the ability to poke from long range a lot more with the Destructo Disc. Trunks is, I think people really underrate this. Actually, I really like this ability, the Burning Attack. I think it creating smoke on impact is like actually really good in terms of team fights, because this is really the only way that Trunks is able to poke without directly committing to going in to the fight, right? But I think 18 has much more mobility with her multiple dashes. She can secure kills, I think, pretty much as good as Trunks. So I think if you're going to decide to, use either this character or 18, I don't think there's any reason not to choose 18. And in terms of the divine cards, I don't actually think there's a way to see the divine cards in game. Like there's no actual, I can go to game guide, and then if I go to the divine cards section, I don't think there's actually a listing of the divine cards. Yeah, there isn't one. There is one divine card in the second row of divine cards you can get, which is the barrier card. At the time I was recording this, I did not understand quite how good the barrier card was, so I didn't pick the barrier card. I just went triple, or sorry, not triple. I went double red and then the 2 dashes for the blue. This Trunks, you need the second dash on Trunks, the second vanish step. You need that. But I think from now on, if I'm using Trunks, I would number 1 choose the barrier card for the second card. You always got to pick Snowball. If you're not getting Snowball stacks of Trunks, he's almost just like a worthless unit. And then the other thing to mention too is I typically tended to, in the video, max out the first skill first, the sword slash. But absolutely now at this point that I've used him more, I would definitely tend to prioritize the Vanish Strike. This is Trunks' best skill. I would say the Vanish Strike is even more valuable than the ult. The Vanish Strike is just way too much better than every other ability this guy has. So I would definitely focus on maxing out Vanishing Strike here, but we're going to go ahead and jump into the showcase for Trunks here. Again, this is kind of a supercut, a mashup of all the highlights of my grind from mid B to S rank. You guys can let me know down below if you enjoy this type of video. There's not going to be any commentary, so I'll just add some BGM in here. But if you guys want to see more of these styles of videos for other characters as well, let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.
ーパーサイヤ人はここにもいるぞ。せっかく任せておけ。しっかりしてください。
いい調子です。